Hello my yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet the Christmas Shimmer Peppermint granny square and put it into this adorable, festive, Christmassy blanket. Isn't it just gorgeous? I absolutely love how it turned out. And of course, you can make yours bigger or smaller if you want to. Just make as many squares as you need. Now, for the pattern that I made, you're going to need 16 granny squares. And these are approximately 9 by 9 inches. Super pretty, super easy. They do have sort of a bumpiness texture because we did front post stitches. And it turned out just gorgeous. I've been wanting to make a peppermint blanket, but I didn't want to just do red and white or green and white. And when I found this beautiful yarn from Premier Yarn that is red and white and has that silver going through it, I don't know if you can see that sparkle, but it is really pretty and it makes a gorgeous blanket. And I really love how it turned out, but we'll talk more about yarns in just a second. Okay, now again, these measure about 9 by 9 inches. The one we're making today is going to measure about 38 by 38. It is a big square. That includes this really cute trim. I really love how that trim turned out. Okay, now you can find the complete pattern for the square and the blanket on my blog. And as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. All right, so let's talk about supplies. Now, you're going to need 2 different yarns in order to do the striping effect. And again, I use the Premier Basix Shimmer, and the name of this one is called Peppermint Shimmer. Hence the name Christmas Shimmer Peppermint Granny Square Blanket. A long name. Fun pattern. All right, and so this is the yarn. This is what it looks like. It came off the skein. You can see a little bit. That's okay. It is red and white, bright Christmas red, really nice bright white, and that silver thread running through it that gives it that shimmer. Now, you don't have to use this particular yarn. You can use a solid red if you want to, and do it red and white. You could do it green and white or any color in white, or you could do it any 2 colors you want to. But what we're trying to accomplish today is for it to look similar to a little round peppermint. And it's one of my favorite candies because they come in sugar-free. But anyway, we're going to be using this Premier Basix Shimmer, and then the Just White 1 pound just in the color white for my white, because it's a really nice bright white. Let's see, I don't think it has any other name but just white. They're both medium weight number 4 acrylic yarns, and for this project you really want to use a medium weight number 4 yarn. All right, now you're going to need to make 16 squares. We're going to be doing 4 by 4, which 4 times 4 is 16. And that's going to get you a blanket that's roughly about 38 by 38 inches because we're making a square blanket throw. Now, you can make as many squares as you want to and make your blanket as big as you want to. You could make it big enough to cover the whole back of your couch, or make it big enough to go around the bottom of your Christmas tree. Whatever you want to do, you can. And again, you don't have to do this in Christmas colors. It would be beautiful in white and blue or any other 2 colors. Now, to make the blanket the size that I have made, you're going to need approximately 12 ounces of your color 1 and 12 ounces of your color 2. So that's a total of 24 ounces. All right, just to give you an idea, and I probably give you a little more than you need. I try to do that, give you an extra ounce every now and then, just so that you have enough to finish your project. Because remember, we all stitch differently. Some of us stitch tighter or looser than others. And that's where you just need to measure as you go. All right, now the squares themselves measure about 9 by 9 inches. And you'll notice I have this one on a blocking board. When I do squares, I really like to block them. You don't have to. But I like to because I think it makes it easier when it comes time to put them together so that they match up nicely without having to like stretch them out of shape and stuff. All right, but it's not anything that you have to do. It's just a preference on my part. Now we're going to stitch with our H hook, which is a 5mm crochet hook. You're going to need a needle for weaving in ends, and of course you're going to need a pair of scissors. We're going to be starting with our white yarn, and so I'm using this mat so that you can see it better because my table of course is white and it makes it a little bit hard to see. But I do have my color 2 ready here because we're going to be switching colors every other row. All right, so we're going to start with our white. We're going to make our slip knot and we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to join this into a circle and we'll make that stay knot. Now if you prefer to use the magic circle or another method for your beginning ring, that's totally fine. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go in that ring, pull up a loop, and chain 3. This chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. And now we're going to stitch 7 more double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right, so that will give us 8 double crochets because our chain 3 counted as 1. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double crochets. We're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch. All right, now before we do the next row, we're going to turn this over. We're going to pull on that string a little bit, close up that hole, and we're going to go ahead and just close up this hole. You can do it at the end if you want to. I just like to get it over with. All right, now we're not going to chain 1 because we are going to change colors. So I'm going to pull this loop just a little bit so it doesn't come undone. There we go. So we're just going to go ahead and weave this end in. Make sure we close up that hole in the center. There we go. All right, I'll just go ahead and clip that. But like I said, you can do that later if you want to. Now we're not going to chain 3 or 1 or anything because we're going to be changing colors on row 2. And so for row 1 we have 8 double crochets. Now we're ready for row 2. I'm bringing in my color 2. And when we change colors, you need to do that next chain 3 in your new color because it counts as our first double crochet. So I'm chaining 3. We're going to leave our color 1 attached. We'll be carrying those colors up the back. That way we don't have to weave in every row. All right. Now for row 2, we're going to be stitching 2 double crochets in each. Okay, so our chain 3 counts as 1. So we'll just stitch 1 double crochet in that same stitch. And then we'll go to the next one and stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. All right, so 2 double crochets in each of those double crochets around, and row 1 has 8, so row 2 is going to have 16. So we can count it this way: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
12, 14, and 1 and 2 is 16 double crochets. We're going to join to our chain 3 with a slip stitch. All right, and this is how row 2 should look. So we have 16 double crochets. Now we're ready for row 3. So we're going to bring back in our white or our color 1, and then we're going to chain 3. Now what we're going to be doing on this row is alternating a double crochet and a front post. All right, so we chain 3, so we're going to front post around that chain 3 from the previous row. Now we'll double crochet in the next stitch, and then we'll front post around that same stitch. And so we're increasing, but we're not adding extra double crochets. Okay, so we'll double crochet in the top of that stitch, and then we'll front post around that same double crochet. Double crochet in the next stitch, and then front post around that same double crochet. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around this row. All right, and make sure you understand what we're doing. Get that little tangle out of there. All right, so we're stitching a double crochet in the next double crochet where we normally do, up here at the top. And then we're front post stitching around that same double crochet. All right. All right. Double crochet in the double crochet where we usually double crochet, and then front post double crochet around that same double crochet. All right. And see how that looks? And so we're going to be alternating double crochet, front post, double crochet, front post, all the way around, and then join back to that chain 3. I have completed row 3, so we have 16 front post and 16 regular double crochets. We're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch. We're going to drop our white yarn and bring back in our color 2, which is this peppermint yarn. And now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to double crochet in that chain 3. So that'll give us 2 double crochets, and then front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. All right, and this is what our repeat will do around row 4. We'll have 2 double crochets, and then front post around the front post double crochet. 2 double crochets in the regular double crochet, and front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. And we'll just repeat this, working all the way around. Because the truth is, once you get past row 3, the rest of this square is super easy. Two double crochets in the double crochet, and front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. And you can see those ridges. They're super cool and give it a really nice look. Two double crochets in the next double crochet, and front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around, and join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of our front posts. And since we have 2 times 16, which is 32, double crochets around, all right? Because we added an extra one in between our row. So we have 2 double crochets between each of our front post double crochets. I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch. I'm going to drop my color 2 and again pick up my color 1 and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to be adding another double crochet in between all of our front post double crochets. So we have our chain 3, and then in the next stitch we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now we'll front post double crochet around that front post double crochet. And so this is our repeat for row 5. 1 double crochet in the next double crochet, 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2, and front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. And see, we're just adding another double crochet in between all of our front post double crochets. So 1 double crochet in the next, 2 double crochets in the next, and 1 front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. And it's really making those front post double crochets stand out for some beautiful texture. All right, let's get back in there. There we go. 1 double crochet in the next, and then 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2, and then front post double crochet around the next. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around for row 5. I really think this is a fun square to make, even if you don't make it in peppermint colors. It's a really fun square to make. All right, so 1 double crochet in the next, 2 double crochets in the next, and front post double crochet. Get that snag out of the way there. There we go. Front post double crochet around the next, and then we'll repeat this all the way around, join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 5, so we have 3 double crochets in between all of our front post double crochet stitches. And again, I think that just looks so pretty with that texture. All right, so now we're going to join to our chain 3 one more time and bring in our peppermint color one more time. We're going to be increasing again, so we're going to go ahead and do our chain 3. We're going to double crochet in the next double crochet, and then 2 double crochets in that next double crochet. So now instead of having 3 double crochets between our front post, we're going to have 4. And then front post double crochet. All right, so 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets, and 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2. So that gives us 4 double crochets. All right, and then front post double crochet around that front post double crochet. And that's our repeat. Whoops, that split a little. There we go. 1 double crochet in the next 2, and 2 double crochet in that third double crochet. and then front post double crochet in the front post double crochet. All right, 1, 2, and then 1 and 2, and then front post double crochet. All right, so we're having 4 double crochets in our front post double crochet. 1, 2, and then 1 and 2, and front post double crochet. All right, and so that is our repeat all the way around. 1 double crochet in the next 2, 2 double crochets in the next, and then front post double crochet in the next, and repeat all the way around and join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 6. We've got 4 double crochets, front post all the way around. We're going to join to our chain 3, and we're going to bring in our color 1, only now we're going to tie off our color 2. All right, we'll be finishing the square with color 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go to this front post here. So we'll be going back a stitch and single crocheting in that front post. All right, so now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to go to the next front post double crochet and stitch a single crochet. And we're not stitching around it this time, we're stitching in the top of it. All right, and we're going to stitch in the top of each of our front post double crochets. That's why we needed to go back 1 stitch, so that we're stitching in that first front post double crochet. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go to the next front post double crochet and stitch a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and repeat all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet in the next front post double crochet. And again, we're stitching in the top, not going around that post. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Single crochet in the front post. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Single crochet in the top, not around, of the next front post double crochet. And see how that looks? We'll repeat this the rest of the way around and join back to this first single crochet. I have repeated that all the way around, so we have 16 sets of single crochet chain 5. All right, so here's my last one. We're going to join to that first single crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch in that chain 5 space and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to form it into a square. All right, so we're going to make our first corner, so our chain 3 counts as 1. We're going to stitch 2 more double crochets. We're going to chain 2 and stitch 3 more double crochets in that chain 5 space. 1, 2, and 3. And so there is our first corner made. Now we're going to make the sides. So we're going to chain 2 and 3 double crochets 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 1, 2, and 3, and chain 2. All right, so now what we have done is we've made our first corner and our first side with 3 sets of chain 2, 3 double crochets, and then we chain 2. And now we're going to repeat this 3 more times. All right, so we'll go to our next chain 5 space and stitch a corner. So that's 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochets in that same space. 1, 2, and 3. So now we have our second corner made. And now we'll repeat what we did here. Chain 2 and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, whoops, there we go. 3, chain 2, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and chain 2. So now we have 2 sides of our square made, and we need to do the other 2 sides. And we'll do that exactly the same. We'll repeat the corner and the side 2 more times, exactly like we did right here. I have completed row 8. We have our 4 corners, and then 3 sets of double crochets with chain 2s. And here's our last chain 2. We're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch, and now we're just going to slip stitch in those next 2 double crochets and in the chain 2 space. All right, and chain 1, and that is the way that row 8 should look. Now we're going to do one more row, row 9, and add a row of single crochet just to help it hold its shape as well. All right, so we're going to stitch a single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet in that corner. Now we're going to stitch a single crochet in each of the double crochets, and then we'll stitch 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space. And this gives us a nice edge also when we stitch them together into the blanket. All right, so basically we're stitching a single crochet in each of the double crochets, 2 single crochets in the chain 2 spaces across, all right, then 2 single crochets again in the chain 2 spaces, single crochets in the double crochets, and then 2 in that chain 2 space. And this brings us to the next corner, but you can see how that gives us a nice row when we go to stitch them together. All right, so we're going to single crochet in these 3 double crochets, and then again in the corner we're going to single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. Okay, and that gives us a nice corner. And we're just going to repeat what we did here on these next 3 sides. We only have 4 sides to a square. So 1 single crochet in the 3 double crochets, 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space, and repeat across. And if you've got this far, you got the hard part done. Although you're going to need to make 15 more at least if you want to make a blanket. Alrighty. It's really not a hard square. It really isn't. I think it's a lot of fun to stitch up. You can take them with you and do a bunch on the way. And you could make them all in different colors and come up with a really pretty blanket. I just really love peppermint. Alright, so I'm stitching these last 3 double crochets. So we've got another row of single crochet across. I'm to the corner, and again, single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. Alright, and I'll do these next 2 sides, and this square will be complete. I have completed row 9, stitching all those single crochets all the way around my square, and you can see it just helps it be a little bit more sturdy and hold its shape. Although it's not perfectly square, and that's why I like to block my squares, but you don't have to. Alright, so we've completed up here. We're going to join to that first single crochet and cut our yarn. Alright, now I'm going to go to that next stitch and pull that loop to the back for a nice finish. And I want to show you the back because when you turn it over, you can see this is where we carried our yarn. But I find that to be a lot neater than to have to weave in every single row where we changed colors. Alright, and so now I'm going to weave these ends in, and then I'm going to show you how to put your squares together into a beautiful blanket. And again, if you want to make the size that I'm making, you're going to need 16 squares. So the way that I put them together is I take them, I put them right sides together, and then we single crochet together, working in the outside loop. I'm going to show you how to do that. That way it looks like this and you don't have a big bump on the top. Alright, and so what I'm doing is I'm putting 4 squares together. I've got 3 done here, and I'm going to show you with these last 2, so we'll have 4 together. And then we'll take those 4 and put them together in rows of 4. Alright, so here's the 3. And I'm going to add the 4th one. So what we're going to do, here's the right side. We're going to put the right sides together, and we're going to stitch across the back side. Okay? Now, you want to go in those outside loops, and let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's our 2, and you can see there's the 2 loops on each one. And so you're going to go in the front loop on this one and the back loop on that one, so that we're stitching in the outside loops. Okay, we'll bring in our white yarn, and it's just real simple. Line everything up, and you don't want to stitch this tight. You want to stitch it just a little bit loose. Just loosen up a little bit. We're using an H hook. If you're a really tight stitcher, I would go up a hook size to the eye, which is a 5.5 millimeter. That way I'll be just a little bit looser. Okay, and so we'll go to the outside loop here and the outside loop here and stitch single crochet. And that's what we'll stitch all the way across. And the whole blanket, putting together the squares, we're stitching in those outside loops, single crochets, just a little bit loose. Alright, and we'll just do this all the way across, stitching these last 2 squares together. Now I already have 3 rows of 4, and this will be my 4th row of 4. And that's the size blanket that I'm making. Of course, you can make your blanket as big as you want by making as many squares as you would like. Alright, so I'm going to finish stitching across, stitching in those outside loops. Let me show you how that looks. And when you turn it over, you'll see these lines right here, and that will tell you you're stitching that correctly. So I stitched that all together. I'm going to cut my yarn and tie that off, and so now I have 4 squares sewn together. 1, 2, 3, 4. And like I said, you'll see those lines right here that are the inside loops. All right, so now that I have 4 together, I'm going to add it to my blanket and we'll stitch all the way across. So here is my blanket. I've got 1, 2, 3 rows of 4 squares. Now my blanket's going to be pretty much a square because I'm doing it 4 by 4. But again, if you want it to be longer, you can add more squares, one side or the other, as many as you want to. All right, so now that I have all these sewn together, I've got my row of 4 here, and we're going to make sure that we put the right sides together. We want them facing each other. And then we'll just start down here. And something that I do, I don't cut these ends off. I use it to help me stay on track. I just take them and do like a quick, what I call a stay knot with those ends. That way I know those are going to stay lined up so they're not, you know, uneven, but also just helps me keep it together so that they stay where they need to be. And then we can weave those in later. It just keeps it in line for me. All right, because we're going to go across here and then across here all the way completely across this row. Again, make sure you've got your wrong sides out, your right sides facing each other. And then again, we're using our white. We're going to go in those outside loops. Bring in our white. There we go. And I'm going to stitch all the way across all 4 of these squares, stitching them together. And it really goes pretty fast. And again, I know there are lots of other ways that you can join your squares together. And if you have a way that you prefer more, go ahead and do that. Or you want to add a more open and lacy style, you can do that too. It's totally up to you. This is just the way I wanted to do it. But again, do what you want to do. And as I always say, you do what works best for you. All right, so I'm just going to continue stitching all the way across all 4 of my squares. I did want to show you when you get to the portion where it was joined and it's a square here or an X, you're going to have to put a stitch or 2 in there or you'll end up with a little bit of a hole. All right, just put a couple of single crochets in the area there where we're joining it together because you've got a little bit of extra space in there and you don't want to have a hole in there. All right, and then just go right on to your next 2 squares and stitch them together. So now I have all 16 of my squares together. And it's lovely, but it needs a trim. And I'm going to do a simple row of single crochet around the whole edge. And then I'm going to put a row of white with some picots for a fun edge as well. Now you can trim yours however that you want to. And or you can do what I'm going to be doing. I'm keeping with the peppermint theme, okay? And remember, you can make your blanket as big as you would like, or you can keep it the size of this one. You can add more length if you want it more rectangle shaped. It's just totally up to you. And the truth is, you can do lots of fun things with this square. Make it into a bag, make it into a scarf, a shawl, table runner. Lots of fun things you can do with this peppermint blanket square. So what I'm going to do is I'm bringing back in my peppermint yarn. I'm just going to join it to this chain 1 space in the corner. And now I'm just going to stitch a row of single crochet all the way around 4 sides of my blanket. And in the corners, I'm just going to put, in the 4 corners, I'm just going to put 3 single crochets in the corners. That way it'll have a nice smooth move around those corners. All right, so just a simple row of single crochet around the edge. I want to get to this joint area real quick so I can show you what I'm going to do at the joint area. All right, move this down a little. I'm just trying to keep it from falling off the table. All righty, so I'm just gonna single crochet to that first joint spot. Whoops, there we go. All righty. All right, here's these last 3 single crochets. Now, we have this joint spot here, and what I usually do is put 2 or 3, depending on how white it is in there, so that it moves smoothly right to that next single crochet. All right, because we want it to be solid. So we're just going to stitch a solid row of single crochet all the way around using our peppermint yarn. I have stitched that single crochet trim all the way around my whole blanket. 3 single crochets in the 4 corners, join to the first single crochet, and now we're going to bring in the white and do 1 simple row of, I think I called it picot. It's not picot, it's chaining. All right, so we'll bring in our white, snug everything down. And this is just a real simple trim. You do a single crochet, chain 3, skip 2, and single crochet in the next. 1, 2, 3, skip 2, single crochet in the next. It just makes a nice sort of fun edge. All right, I brought my mat in so that you could see the white, since that table under there is white. All right, so we brought in our color 1. Right away. And this trim is super easy. We're just going to single crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 2, and single crochet in the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 2, single crochet in the next. And it just makes a whimsical little trim there. 1, 2, 4, skip 2, single crochet in the next. It just makes a fun little whimsical trim. Show that into the green net. 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 2, single crochet in the next. Just super simple, just enough to bring back in that pop of white without covering up that peppermint row too much. We want that still to show. There we go. Alrighty, and we'll just do this all the way around the edge of the whole blanket and come back around and join over here. Super easy trim. I have completed a little chain ruffle trim. I wanted to do something that would still help this row of peppermint yarn still really stand out. And I really love the way that that turned out. Now when you get to the end here, there's my last chain 4. I'm just going to join right to that single crochet and tie off. And of course I'll need to weave those ends in. Now my blanket is completely done. And I'll go back over and make sure that I don't have any ends that are weaving in. But it's all completed now, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. So that is our Christmas Shimmer Peppermint
Granny Square blanket. It turned out just gorgeous.